Sean Fennessey.
I'm Amanda Dobbins.
And this is the Big Picture, a conversation about some weird and wild movies. Today on the show, we will dig into two of the more strange new releases of 2025. I'm referring to Bradley Cooper's Is This Thing On? And James L. Brooks's Ella McCay, his first new film in 15 years. We'll also shed some light on some smaller films from this year by sharing our top 5 most underseen and overlooked movies. We're also going to talk about Tom Cruise's next film, which just got a teaser. We'll do it all next.
This episode of The Big Picture is presented by Amazon Prime. You know how in every great holiday movie, there's that last-minute scramble to make it all come together? From gifts to hosting essentials, Prime's fast shipping is always there for you during the holidays, especially when it's last minute and just can't wait. So if you need fast, free delivery that saves the day, it's on Prime. Head to amazon.com/prime to shop now.
Okay. It's Digger time. Tom Cruise's Digger.
Yeah.
Digger is the character that he's playing in the new film by Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu, coming out October 2nd, 2026 from Warner Brothers.
Yes.
We saw a teaser trailer of Tom shot from behind dancing to a Gorillaz song, Oh Green World.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Oh, brother. I mean,
You're nervous.
Yeah, of course I am.
Okay.
I mean, this looks like Tropic Thunder reheated, like with Iñárritu, thinking that he's funny. It's a bad sign anytime the movie poster has to have an explanatory blurb that proclaims itself a comedy, because that's when you know it's not obvious.
Yeah, that's a really good note. You don't want to self-identify the genre on the poster. So the poster of Digger does, in fact, say a comedy of catastrophic proportions.
Okay.
I really like the poster. Very clearly Saul Bass-inspired poster. Looks like Anatomy of a Murder or Billy Wilder's 1, 2, 3. That orange palette is really, really nice. I thought it was fine.
Okay.
I thought it was fine. I'm not like, no.
Yeah.
It's Tom Cruise finally breaking free of the franchise shackles after several years of not making any movies that are outside of that space. So I'm into that. Iñárritu, you know.
Yeah. This has the release date has Venice written all over it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. Dang.
Just floating that for you.
For me?
Yeah.
What about for you?
Well, I'm just circling it.
You want me to go to Venice this year? Next year?
Last year you talked about it, or I guess this year.
Yeah.
You discussed.
Yeah. You know what? It all shook out. I didn't think the Telluride slate was that great, and then I look back on the Venice slate and I'm like,
yeah, that's true.
You know,
I mean,
what did I
guess
miss?
The answer is that we should go to Cannes.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that.
I mean, maybe this would be Cannes.
Possible.
And then they could sit on it for a while?
Certainly possible.
Okay, we'll see.
You know, this film also stars Jesse Plemons, Sandra Hüller, Riz Ahmed, Sophie Wilde, Emma Darcy, Robert John Burke, Bern Gorman, Michael Stuhlbarg, John Goodman. I got any movie with Gorman, Michael Stuhlbarg, and John Goodman. That's like, it's hard to make a bad movie with those three guys. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
Chivo shot it?
Listen, there are always a lot of very talented people on both Tom Cruise films and Iñárritu films. We'll see.
Okay. So you won't watch this film. Just confirming here.
I will go to any European film festival that shows it.
You know, this is an interesting slot where this movie is October 2nd. It's actually the A Star Is Born Venom slot. And we're about to talk about the legacy of A Star Is Born and Bradley Cooper here, because
we sure are.
We're going to pivot into Is This Thing On? Now, this is the new movie, co-written and directed by Bradley Cooper, his third feature film after A Star Is Born and Maestro. It stars Will Arnett, Laura Dern, Bradley Cooper, Andra Day, Amy Sedaris, Sean Hayes, Christine Ebersol, and Kieran Hines. The story is thus. After many years together, Alex and Tess have reached an amicable end to their marriage, thus beginning the awkward stage of figuring out how to live separately while raising two boys and maintaining their friendships. Alex discovers a new hobby and in the process learns more about himself and his relationship. Bradley Cooper has been a bit of a totem of this show.
That's true.
Some might say an icon. Certainly someone we love to talk about.
That's true. We started really cooking with the show right around the time of A Star Is Born and both loved that film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think The Ringer in general was like really out on the barricades for A Star Is Born before the other people got it.
Yes.
And I think we're maybe still waiting for some other people to get it, but I stand by that. And then, Bradley Cooper still acts while directing. Yeah. He's certainly a presence in the Philadelphia sports world.
Yep. Rocket Raccoon.
And sure.
The little guy in Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. He's giving some good performances.
Yeah, he's around. He's present. Yep. Somebody is always thanking him at an awards show.
It's true.
And
multi-time Academy Award nominee, never won.
Yes. And so we have been, podcasting along with him,
Mm-hmm.
And now here we all are once again.
So the first question that I want to ask you, I usually ask, what did you think of this movie?
Right.
This time I'm going to ask you, why did Bradley Cooper make this movie? What is this movie?
This is loser behavior is what this movie is. That's my review, is that like this is top to bottom loser behavior, which is different than saying that it's distinctly bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's totally bad, but I think all of the characters and the choices made are losers. So,
okay.
and I don't identify with it in any way,
okay.
and was very irritated by it. Bradley Cooper is, if he's divorced, he's not divorced in this way after like a long time,
No.
a 20-year marriage and 2 children.
No.
And
the star Will Arnett is.
Yes.
The star Will Arnett is divorced, and you can feel him bringing, I'm sure, some of his personal experience to it. And he's a co-writer on the film as well.
I was going to say.
And it is, in fact, based on a person's true life story, a man who worked in finance and who discovered stand-up comedy. Okay. That's the hobby that I was alluding to, and who used stand-up comedy to kind of figure out his place in the world, which is, a little bit of a groaner. No disrespect to that man's actual life, but the premise itself is a little bit eye-rolly.
Yeah, again, loser behavior. But the answer to the question, why did Bradley Cooper want to make this, is that it really just does feel like he's doing a solid for a friend.
It's possible. Obviously, Will Arnett and Bradley Cooper are friends. It feels to me like a very conscious, purposeful kind of like slowdown after the mania of Maestro, which is a movie that I thought was ultimately successful but very flawed, had really high highs. I still am somewhat conflicted about it because, as many people have said, it's not really a very good movie about Leonard Bernstein, but it's a really interesting cinematic exploration for him. He's really challenging himself to do some big stuff. This is a huge pullback. This is a hyper intimate, I don't know, somewhere in that like Woody Allen, Paul Mazursky mold of like intimate character drama with some funny moments and very sincere, but also dopey at times. But with like none of the stick-to-itiveness to make the movie as sour as I think it should be if it really wants to impact you.
Right.
It has a softness on it that I don't think really does it any favors. I think this is a movie that has some good performances, has some interesting ideas that are not totally realized. I absolutely hated the way that this movie looked and felt. The filmmaking style kind of made me sick. And it's weird because I really like Cooper as a director. I think he's got real panache. And I think he's really interested in a kind of classical filmmaking that is exciting. And this is like an experiment that he decided on and had to stick to, which is hyper intimate, right on the shoulders or the backs of his actors.
Yeah.
Intense, extreme close-ups. I will say I also had to sit in the front row at my screening of this movie. And so that made it even more challenging how close the camera was to everything that was transpiring, whether it's Will Arnett on stage doing a comedy routine or Laura Dern in Crisis in Her Car. The forced intimacy of the movie made it very uncomfortable, but not in the exciting way that I was hoping for.
Right.
Really, just a little slightly irritating to be watching.
I completely agree. My instinct to having to spend 2 hours with these people very close up in their faces as they worked through these problems was just grow up. Like it does want to bring you like intensely into what's going on with them, but what's going on with them is pretty like mundane and annoying and stakesless. And
well, it didn't have to be, but it does turn out to be. I don't want to spoil the movie for people who haven't seen it because it's just come out, but like when it concludes, you're like, what did we even what did we learn? That like, you got to find something for yourself that makes you happy? Like, no shit.
Yeah. Seriously. I mean, I was thinking about driving on the way in, like, we are two children of divorce.
Yeah.
And we are scholars in the divorce movie genre. I think many of our favorite movies are either told from the perspective of the child of divorce, or they are written they are told from, I guess, the perspective, or they are at least about one of the parents, but the parents experience a tremendous amount of guilt and often like punishment, and are really put through the ringer. Forgive me for the pun, for going through this divorce. Like, they've made a mistake, they fucked up, and it's cataclysmic, and it aligns with, I guess, our experience of being kids of divorce, and also like, the characters are taking some responsibility.
Yeah.
No one's taking any responsibility in this movie.
I don't even really know what happened.
Yeah.
It's a classic divorce of two people who like just kind of fell out of love and had enough fights that they realized they shouldn't be together. There's not like a big dramatic cheating incident. There isn't something that they're trying to show us, like, I think a more modern version of divorce, where it's like two people who were really in love and kind of drifted. And, you know, having children can be very challenging and hard on a relationship.
Right.
You know, there's something sincere
also, Laura
about
Dern
the movie.
has a volleyball career that just went away.
Yeah, but seemingly 20 years ago.
Sorry, I just saw Jack's face be like, what's going on? Yes.
Have you seen this film?
Yeah.
No, I was supposed to, and then we had Clint Bentley come in for Train Dreams, and he was like, "What are you doing tonight, sir?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to go see, is this thing on?" He's like, "Actually, you're going to come see Train Dreams at the Arrow." And then I never got back to it.
That's really nice.
That's a better outcome.
Yeah, a better film.
Yeah.
Good job, Clint Bentley.
I don't mean to get too in the weeds about some of this stuff, but Laura Dern's volleyball career, and Laura Dern is like, is she in her late 50s? Like, what?
She just is also not coded as a volleyball player. Like, I brought Jack into this because the look on his face of total confusion of like, what do you mean?
Is she supposed to be an active volleyball player?
No, she's a former. She's a retired.
She had a stellar career as a volleyball player, presumably collegiately and maybe even in the Olympics. But, you know, if we're tracking Laura Dern's life, like, she's got two kids under 10.
No, they're 10.
They're 10.
Yes.
Okay.
They're 10.
And
then I think they turn 11 because we see one of the birthday parties.
Okay. And she's like thinking about going back to coaching volleyball. And she's like an icon in the space, which of course there is. Like, first of all, volleyball in general, fantastic sport.
Yeah.
I played it all through high school. Women's volleyball, genuinely great spectator sport. It's no disrespect to volleyball. I fucking love volleyball.
Yeah. It's not.
But as a plot point in the movie, it's very odd. It's not introduced until an hour in.
All respect to Laura Dern, just one of the great American actors, very cool, and, you know, is a spry 59. I did not bump on the ages of her children at all, and I didn't bump on the age of. I just was like, Laura Dern does not read volleyball, you know, and there is
maybe.
To me, she does not read volleyball.
Well, there's a very famous image that is created in this film of her from behind,
right,
getting ready to strike a volleyball. What position would you have played would you have been a hitter? Would you have been a setter? Would you play back row, play defense? Like, what would you have done?
So, do the setters have to be the tallest?
No, the hitters are usually
the hitters are the tallest. Yeah, but setters are second. So I would probably be a setter, right?
I was a setter.
I'm like mid. Yeah. You know, I'm on the taller side for women, but I'm not 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So
okay, good to know.
But then I couldn't have done that because, you know, that jams your fingers, and then I need to play the piano.
Soft hands.
Yeah.
You have to have soft hands. Let's talk about the comedy part.
So,
the volleyball part of it is so confusing.
It's just like very.
The movie attempts to kind of just like turn the car around mid-movie and be like, well, what about the woman's perspective? And you're like, you didn't really invest me in this at all through the first hour of the movie.
Right.
The first hour of the movie is really about Will Arnett. And again, I'll say Will Arnett, I think one of the funniest people alive.
Yeah.
Joe Bluth, maybe my favorite TV character of the century. Very few actors can make me laugh as hard as he does. Watch him on Conan doing bits about Jason Bateman. Nothing funnier in the world. I really like Will Arnett. I feel something very sincere coming from him in this movie. You can tell he's trying to get through some stuff. There's a weird thing, though, where it's a movie about stand-up comedy, and understandably, it's an amateur who has no experience.
Right, but it's the that thing you do problem.
And that's the thing. The jokes are not funny. He's not that funny in this part. It does make sense dramatically for him to be not that funny or that seasoned.
Yeah.
But the other comedians, some of whom are professional and very successful comedians, are like kind of funny, but there's not a lot of laughs. We saw this in a movie 40 years ago Tom Hanks and Sally Field made Punchline, another dramedy about the world of stand-up comedy that isn't that funny. Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip had the same exact problem, where it was like, this is a show that's kind of about SNL, but it's not as funny as SNL.
Yeah.
Do you buy it? This is dangerous stuff, man. This can sink a movie when that stuff doesn't work. And we were talking to Chris Ryan, and he saw this, and he liked the comedy stuff. He liked the stand-up stuff, which takes place at the Comedy Cellar in New York. I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't get invested in it. I'm kind of baffled by the whole movie.
I sat there thinking, if I were a person even going to open mic night at the Comedy Cellar, and this is what showed up, I would ask for my money back. I'm just like, the Comedy Cellar.
$5? You would
15 was 15. I think the rate.
Used to be $5 when I was in New York.
Yeah, but still, that's like a hallowed place. And I'm like, this guy just gets to wander up on stage.
It seems so easy for him to just get up there.
Right. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So
there is also a thing in the movie where it's just like, it sure seems like every woman wants to fuck Will Arnett in this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on here? This is fairly unexamined.
There are like a lot of shots of, his dad bod is like a recurring bit in his comedy, but there are just like more shots of his so-called biceps than I personally needed to see. I'm not there on my aging journey. No, I thought that as like this serious actor playing the emotions, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. And there's one moment.
I would argue that's the best part of the movie is his performance as this guy going through this thing.
There's one moment with the kids' socks, which again, like logistically, I wasn't sure why they weren't there, but he had their socks. But
yes,
I felt something in that moment. That was good, sad filmmaking. Everything else was confusing.
Let's talk about Bradley Cooper's performance.
Well, that I enjoyed. I think Bradley Cooper's an amazing director of himself.
I agree with that. He has done a curious thing in the movie, which is a movie with like low stakes and a kind of confused narrative structure. And he shows up every 32 minutes to be the funniest person on screen for 5 minutes and then disappear again.
And also so handsome.
Yes, he's got long hair and a beard and a mustache at a certain point.
Right, and hat.
He's an actor who is close friends with Will Arnett. What does Will Arnett's character do?
We don't know. That's another thing.
He works in finance, I think is the idea. I guess
so, but you never really, you see him in a suit.
Right.
And he keeps talking about some job and the mortgage that he's paying for this house because they live in, somewhere on Metro North. He gets an apartment at the city.
Presumably in Connecticut.
Money is never really discussed. But everything's fine.
But they're old friends, Cooper and Arnett's characters, and Cooper's character is married to Andra Day, and they're part of this crew of people who've been hanging out and spending time together for years, and they're at that stage of their lives.
Right.
We're getting to that stage of our lives. We're like, maybe some marriages aren't working out, or people are confronting like what happens when my kids get older, and where am I in my life, and am I happy? All that stuff I think is rich, and this movie and Ella McCay are fascinating examples of things that we want at the movies that represent a kind of movie that no longer really gets made unless you have a really powerful force like a Bradley Cooper or a Jim Brooks to get a movie like this made. But just because the movie like this exists doesn't automatically make it good. It is a careful what you wish for conundrum, because with the wrong script or just like I feel like if you made this movie in 2023 or in 2026, maybe you'd get like a slightly different stew. You'd get a better outcome. Like you just make one choice a little bit differently, or you wait for the script to simmer a little longer. So you pivot away from something that wasn't working. Like it just feels like the cake wasn't ready to come out of the oven.
No.
Is how this movie feels to me.
Yeah. It's just a movie about a dad finding himself, but dressed up in the clothing of a divorce movie and, another like a performer movie, and how is like a man who is in the arts going to reconcile his personal life and his professional life, which has been the theme of Bradley Cooper's other two movies as well.
It's true.
But it's really just like, I don't know. Can this man be happy?
Why is Peyton Manning in the film?
I laughed a lot because they introduce him from a distance and you're like, wait a second, is that Peyton Manning? Is that Peyton Manning? And then Laura Dern is on a date with Peyton Manning and almost maybe going to sleep with Peyton Manning. That's really funny. That is the
Does he play himself?
No, he plays Laird.
A former volleyball colleague.
Now we are cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's maybe in charge of the national team.
And the incident that they like find themselves in, where Laura Dern's character goes to a comedy club with Laird after their dinner, which is turning into a date in real time because we learn that they're both divorced. And then they stumble upon seeing Will Arnett's character performing comedy, and that comedy is very much about his marriage and about his wife. And some things are uttered that are hurtful to her in that exchange. But everything that happens after that, where Laird disappears, Laura Dern's character confronts Will Arnett's character, and then that leads to like a kind of tentative reunion between them and like heat, like a chemistry. I didn't buy it all. Like, I was like, this is complete fantasy. Like, I have no idea what they're trying to communicate with this. So it's like, is the idea that you should publicly humiliate your wife in front of her so then she'll want to sleep with you again? What is the movie trying to tell us about that?
I have no idea. And the way that where those characters end up is that she rediscovers her love of volleyball and she like finds a purpose and she's coaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the Olympics are going to be here in 2 years.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
And then he has like rediscovered himself and his happiness because he stands up on stage in the Comedy Cellar and makes fun of his family for laughs. And then that means that they can be happy together to the strains of Under Pressure as performed by their children.
Okay.
Listen.
So
listen.
No, this is important because, you know, this is not an After Sun podcast, right? We don't love the movie After Sun. We just did the 2022 draft. People pulling their hair out, crying in the street. Why did you guys not talk about After Sun? It's just not a movie that Amanda and I love.
Right.
Clearly, Chris doesn't love it either. He didn't bring it up. But After Sun used the acapella of Under Pressure already in the movie. It's like it is the most like powerful thing in that movie is the use of that music in those club scenes and then at the conclusion of the movie. And this movie does the exact same thing 3 years later. You can't use that musical cue 3 years after Sun. What are you doing, Bradley Cooper?
It's also the just most creaking obvious. The kids are practicing it for 90 minutes of the 2-hour movie. And you're just like, okay, so I know exactly how you're going to end this. But at one point, Laura Dern's character says that performance isn't for so many months from now. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So you're just going to set up the dumb, I don't know. I guess the family turns out okay. So it's not loser behavior. You know, you got to do what you got to do, but maybe I don't need to be a part of it.
This conversation feels like Sam Jackson shooting Robert De Niro and Jackie Brown, where I'm like, what happened to you, man? Your ass used to be beautiful. Like, this is a real misstep for Coop. I need him to bounce back. I need like a crazy 3-hour massive period piece for the next film. I need something. I need him to reach back and to just go beast mode on whatever it is he's getting into soon, because this wasn't it.
No.
Ella McCay.
Yeah.
Ella McCay is written and directed by James L. Brooks, a television and movie legend. This is his 7th film as director. It's his first film in 15 years since How Do You Know, which was a debacle. It stars Emma Mackey, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jack Loudon, Kumail Nanjiani, Io Adebari, Spike Fern, Julie Kavner, Rebecca Hall, Albert Brooks, and Woody Harrelson. The logline that I pulled from the internet is as follows. At 34 years old, Ella McCay becomes the governor of the state she was born and raised in. However, navigating relationships with her husband, father, and brother may just be her biggest challenge yet.
Yeah.
So,
I would love for this to be a zag for us, right? You know, like you and I are both invested in the work of Jim Brooks.
Yep.
In many of the actors in this film.
100%.
In the idea of, late career, big swings, masterpieces.
Let this octogenarian cook.
Yeah. We really, and original movies about feelings.
Yeah.
And
centered on women, strong women.
And so I would love for us to be able to reclaim this. Absolutely cannot. Like, just absolute disaster.
It really is a disaster. It pains me to say that.
It's really very dire.
Yes, I was a bit mortified watching the movie.
Sure.
And there are components of the movie that I found appealing or at least worthy of discussion.
Okay.
I don't want to dismiss it entirely. The movie is about a young woman who is very type A and very dedicated to her vision of the world and uses her career to further what she believes to be the right way to live and the right way to create a better society.
Right.
She eventually becomes the lieutenant governor in the state she was born and raised in, which I think we can safely assume is Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine. It feels New England-y.
It's never named, which is
It's never named purposefully. One presumes.
Yeah, but becomes quite obvious. And I was chuckling at the state you were born and raised in because when she's promoted to governor, Ella calls her aunt, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who says the now immortal line, "Ella, you are going to become the governor of this state you were born and raised in." And in a sentence right there is everything that's wrong with this movie.
It is, which is that there's like a tremendous amount of specificity in all the wrong places and a total lack of specificity in the important places.
Yes, and also rampant miscasting. And
very true. I'm a fan of Emma Mackey. I think she's trying really hard in this movie to meet the moment, and she's really carrying on her back the ghosts of Deborah Winger and Holly Hunter and Helen Hunt and Mary Tyler Moore and who's the actress who played Rhoda? Her name escapes me. The incredibly strong, complicated, at times difficult women that James L. Brooks is best known for. Aurora from Terms of Endearment, Shirley MacLaine's character. These ferociously idealistic, but also sometimes quite sour figures that
deeply capable outwardly and professionally and personally. They're never dependent on a man, which is like amazing, and especially in the 70s and 80s, pretty groundbreaking. And so, men coming in and out of their life, they're not like, sexless people, but they're trying to figure things out for themselves, and they've figured out what they want to project out into the world, and they're trying to reconcile it within themselves and with the people around them.
Yeah.
Which was, a more progressive idea in the 70s and 80s than it is now.
Well, it's also interesting in the movie Ella McCay because it's a movie about politics, right? It's a movie about politics with a kind of Obama-era optimism that confronts like the bureaucracy and bitterness that tends to define career politicians.
Yeah.
Albert Brooks plays this longtime governor, beloved
Bill.
Governor Bill of a small state, presumably in New England, who has been elevated to a cabinet position in the White House. And so he's leaving and Ella will be filling in his place. And she's clearly like the architect of a lot of his policy over the previous decade. She's a real like go-getter type who probably came right out of college and joined up with his campaign and rose through the ranks and was his chief of staff and did all this work. And so she believes that rather than maneuver and manipulate the way that a politician does, she can kind of blunt force her way to change in the world. And she finds out that just like she can't always do that with her personal life, she can't do it in the real world. So when I say that there's stuff about it that I like as an idea, that's a good idea for a movie. And I kind of admire that Brooks wants to make a movie about this where it's like, it's not unlike a One Battle After Another, where it's like, we fucked up and now I'm Governor Bill. And like Ella McCay wants to come along and kind of fix things and improve the world. And her father was a real asshole, and she's like she's entitled to not forgive him,
right?
And that the only people in her life who she can really trust are women and these strong older women. So like all of those ideas, I think are sound.
Yeah,
the movie, it feels like people took laughing gas before they started making it. Like it is bizarre. The tone, the joke writing, the performance style, the editing. It's so misshapen all over the place.
It's really goofy. And so those basic ideas are also the ideas that, undergird Mary Tyler Moore and certainly broadcast news. And, but the tone is Leslie Knope and Parks and Rec.
Totally.
And in a way, and because it is this like small town, unnamed vibe, there is a like, unspecific sitcom quality to the way they're all speaking to each other that undermines a lot of the situations. And then the stakes are both really big, but in the sense that she's like a young woman, like trying to figure out the world and make the world a better place. But it's also, it's like her ultimate downfall is like a 4-figure bribery scandal, like by her dumb husband and like the local news reporter. It's not even like Axios or something. You know, it is like really very, she works so hard for like an incredibly admirable, like we need like child health bills in this country now more than ever. But like, they just yell tooth tutors a lot to talk about it, which again is good. Like teach children how to take care of their teeth. And she's got a lot of statistics about it.
Yeah.
But they're just screaming tooth tutors in a way that is like cutesy and gimmicky. And it is also, you know, not the Pentagon Papers. So it's silly. And then the interpretation of the script and this is not played as silly. It's played very sincerely.
It is.
And it's quite confusing.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Like an action blockbuster, the holidays move quick. But with Prime, fast free delivery means those last-minute gifts arrive right when you need them. Last year, while watching Singin' in the Rain with my son, I realized a pair of tap shoes would be a perfect Christmas gift, and I had them under the tree for him on Christmas Day. Prime's fast shipping is always there for you during the holidays, especially when it's last minute and just can't wait. Last minute holiday magic? It's on Prime. Head to amazon.com/prime to shop now.
Brooks is a tricky character because I feel like Terms of Endearment and Broadcast News are, for their times, perfect movies.
Yeah.
I like Broadcast News more. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think a total classic.
One of the great movies, yeah.
Terms of Endearment, very effective melodrama. You know, Terms of Endearment based on a Larry McMurtry novel. Broadcast News is not based on anything, but Susan Zirinsky, the CBS News producer, was a critical component, and the Holly Hunter character is based on her.
Right.
It's interesting to think about that, and then the other films that Brooks has made. As Good as It Gets was a very big movie in its time, but I don't feel like it has as strong a reputation as it did. I'll Do Anything was famously like kind of a flame out, where it started out as a musical, and then it tested so poorly that they took all the songs out of it. And then Spanglish is a movie, as I mentioned on the Sandler pod, that I really don't like. And How Do You Know is considered kind of a catastrophe.
True disaster.
And so this guy who has given the world Mary Tyler Moore and The Simpsons and The Tracy Ullman Show and Taxi and these great movies, he has a reputation earned of greatness. But there's no denying that like there is just a total lack of clarity of what this movie is even supposed to be. Like you point out the performances, I think you're right on. There's a sequence in the movie that I found utterly confounding between Spike Fern and Iowa Debris. Spike Fern plays the like emotionally stunted younger brother of Ella McCay. And he is
agoraphobic until proven otherwise.
Yes. And he has to work up the temerity to go visit his ex-girlfriend, whom he broke up with under confused circumstances, and then recompel her to get back together.
Yeah.
The scene, I felt like I was on mushrooms. I was like, what is Spike Fern's performance style? Like, he made a choice, right? It's like that is a character choice that he made to talk that way, to communicate that way.
Right.
I didn't like it. I didn't think it worked. Your mileage may vary on that. It's very specific.
I had more problems with Ella McCay's expository dialogue in this scene, which I texted you during the film. You're still using your math to advise people on sports betting? Great job, everyone.
Yeah.
I was the only person in the theater, by the way, so I was allowed to text.
There are a lot of lines of dialogue, of expositional information delivery that are not good throughout the movie. But Vulture described this film as gas leak cinema, and I think that's very accurate, because there are times where you're in a scene in the movie and you're like, what's wrong here? Like, is everyone okay? Why is this like this? Woody Harrelson giving a very strange performance as a desperate dad who cheated on his wife, played by Rebecca Hall, earlier in Ella's life, and then Rebecca Hall's character passes away. And he becomes this kind of itinerant figure.
After 5 minutes.
That death is very weird. But then comes back into her life later on, just as she's being named governor, because he needs to reconcile with her and he needs forgiveness from her so that he can maintain a relationship with a woman who is really into healing. But that storyline like never resolves itself, and he's just like a gnat in her ear throughout the movie. And you don't know if you're supposed to think Woody Harrelson's funny or tragic. I found all that incredibly confusing. Kumail Nanjiani, like, wasted in a weird part as a state trooper who her
like
bodyguard.
wants to preserve the budget of the state and thus doesn't want overtime.
I was shocked by that. Who would care? Who would care about overtime budgets? We need to protect the sanctity of the overtime budget.
He knows because he's spent time with her, and that's something she would care about. Like, I got it. I got the point they were making.
But
where
again, it's like the details just are not aligned in any way with reality and or what they're trying to communicate in the movie.
It feels very, to use your phrase from earlier, small stakes, low stakes. And the other thing is that, as you pointed out to me when you were watching the movie just literalizes the trauma thing in such a dumb way.
Well, so it does two things, which is, and this is not Julie Kavner's fault, but so Julie Kavner starts the film as the narrator. So
she introduces herself as
the narrator, and you hear her before you see her. So you're like, oh, okay, Marge Simpson is narrating this movie. And then her opening narration uses the word trauma at least 3 and maybe 4 times, quite literally.
Ella looks up trauma in the dictionary.
I forgot about that when explaining
like,
to her
is this
little
a satire?
brother. It was unbelievable.
Dude,
it was so bad. And there was and that's part of the half Me Too plot. Like, this is a movie that is trying, it read a 2011 or I guess 2018 New York Times op-ed page, headlines only, and then was like, let's write something quote unquote to the moment. Tough stuff. Can I tell you what movie this reminded me of?
Tell me.
I mean, this was my particular spiral. So the movie concludes, spoiler alert for Ella McCay. Jack Loudon, an actor I love, is her dumb American husband.
He's been done no favors in this film.
Really, really upsetting.
Also a very bad performance.
Yeah, well, sure. Again, there are just some people who shouldn't be American. We all know what the accent is. And I think that we just have to be honest about the capabilities of accent coaches in this day and age. Anyway, Jack Loudon, I honestly don't really understand why he's mad at her. And so he accepts a bribe from a reporter.
He's going to be the first husband of this state. And he's a person who has supported his wife through all of her ambition. Mm-hmm. And she has gotten to the mountaintop and she neglects to thank him in her, inauguration speech. And he feels cast aside. He wants to be a special important guy and not just the inheritor of a pizza parlor company.
Right. But he's also very stupid. So
he's very stupid.
He accepts a bribe from a local reporter who's found out that a married couple had sex on.
He provides a bribe.
Oh, he provides a bribe.
He writes a check to a reporter.
Okay. That's right. Okay.
Which, of course, the reporter would never cash because the reporter is trying to ensnare him in a scandal. But that's the dumbest plot point I've ever heard.
Yeah.
What politician's husband is writing a personal check to a reporter? It's just dumb writing.
Really
it's really bad writing.
So
Jim Brooks is a fucking legend. I'm an idiot podcaster.
I don't understand it either. It's very upsetting. And so that puts Ella's career as the governor in doubt. And so she negotiates with the state legislature, who are portrayed as the most powerful people on God's earth, just also a belief in local government that I have long since abandoned in this film.
Yep.
So she negotiates in her aunt's bar that she will resign and not run again for office if they put the child health bill through and they include the tooth tutors. Mm-hmm. So in the end, the resolution of this is that Ella McCay gets to be governor for 3 days and her work is done, but she gets no credit for it. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have any of her family left, except for maybe her brother, because he's agreed to leave the house. This reminded me deeply of The Intern, another late career movie made by a true hero of mine that is just about how a millennial woman must be personally and professionally humiliated in order to, I don't know what am I supposed to take from this? It's just like you can only have it all if you don't have anything, and you have yourself. Great. Thanks so much, everyone.
These are challenging lessons from some of our finest filmmakers.
Yeah.
You can only be a good divorced father if you do stand-up comedy. And you can only be a capable governor of a small state in New England if you are publicly embarrassed.
Right. And don't have a job anymore. Well, that's not true. Then she starts legal aid. But then, oh my God, I forgot how this ends. Okay, so really admirable. She starts like a nonprofit to support housing and to prevent evictions. And so they're like in the call center. Kumail Nanjiani's character is now working for the call center instead of the state, and they're like manning the phones, and like a really important call comes through. And they're like, oh my God, I knew it. I knew that we did it. And so they like hand her the piece of paper, and you like expect like Ella's going to be governor again or something. And she's like, everyone, I'd like to announce, I just got the news. We have saved 8,342 people from, houselessness this year. And I was like, that's awesome. That is more than I have done. And it's a real problem here in Los Angeles and like elsewhere in the world, but also it's such a specific number. It's like it's like when they're waiting to hit 1 million users in the social network. But it's like we've had like the fundraising tally on the thing, and we hit like 8,492. What are you talking about?
I think there's real sincerity in this point of view, which is very valid, that the change is not going to come on a macro level. It's going to come on a micro level. And I believe in that.
Yeah.
And I think James Brooks's heart is in the right place. I think the idea that like it's actually people who have to fix the world, and they have to work really hard, and they have to be comfortable being hated and being annoying is very real. And we're in 2027, we're going to start to feel that, because the only people that are going to be able to rise up in terms of what's happening in this country right now are people who are willing to be really annoying about it. I think it's, again, an interesting idea. Yeah. Like I'm on board with where he's going. But to your point about the specificity of that number and the general oddity of tone, I think a lot about the ending of Broadcast News, which is like such an elegant emotional quagmire that character is placed in.
Even there, saved by like the impulses of Jim Brooks, like saved by what happened on set, because they filmed a different ending.
Yes.
And so an alternate ending that they were trying, that famously was
She Goes with Bill,
ruined by a cameraman. And so they were like forced into this ending, which, is maybe telling in its own way of like, sometimes there are impulses that.
Yeah, the door is swinging, right? Yeah. And it can go the other way sometimes. And this one is it's just all wrong. And I think it'd be funny to try to reclaim it. And I know a lot of critics and podcasters are doing that. And, the Ella McCay meme with the, fixing the heel is a thing. And people are having a lot of fun with this movie. But to me, it's a much more sad story about the complete kind of desecration of these kinds of movies for moviegoers. The fact that the only way to make a movie like this successful now is to pretend like it's actually not as bad as it actually is and lift it up with memes. When like, what we do need, to me, ultimately, is what Jim Brooks has otherwise been doing is he's been a producer for other filmmakers, and he has supported other filmmakers in the last 30 years. He produced Jerry Maguire. He produced Big for Penny Marshall. He produced Kelly Freeman Craig's movies. Most recently, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. That's a great act. We need more Kelly Freeman Craigs making movies like this. Mm-hmm. Like, that's actually the thing that's going to get these movies going. And that requires studio executives not being fucking cowards. This is, one rumor, one theory is that this movie exists so that Fox, Disney could get another Simpsons movie. That James L. Brooks said, I'll give you another Simpsons movie, which is happening, I guess, in 2027, if you let me make my movie Ella McCay.
That's sad. I mean, maybe you'll like the Simpsons movie, so that'll be nice.
I think the first Simpsons movie is really funny.
Okay.
And The Simpsons completely changed my life and my point of view on comedy and writing and satire and the American family. So I thank James L. Brooks for all of his works. Ella McCay is a no-go.
Yeah.
Underseen and overlooked.
Yeah.
You were not able to participate in this last year. You were on leave.
That's right.
We talk about a lot of movies on the show over the course of the year. Stuff slips through the cracks.
It does.
Doesn't get attention. Gets a brief mention after a festival maybe, and
Right.
we don't circle back to it. So we've put 5 together. How was this exercise for you?
I found my groove. For a second, I was
Okay.
like, we've been talking about a lot of films. And we see films at volume, but I'm not quite at the volume that you do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think most of my picks have come up in passing.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a genre element to most of them
Mm-hmm.
that, I decided to run towards my interests. Not that, cinema often does, but
Okay.
in this case.
I haven't looked at your list.
Yeah, in this case, I collected a few. So in the end, it was rewarding.
Okay. There are still some 2025 movies that are just now coming out that we're not going to get a chance to talk about at least until we come back in January.
Right. So I kept those off the board.
Yeah. I wanted to cite The Plague before we talk, which opens on Christmas, which is a film that played at Cannes earlier this year. It's written and directed by Charlie Pollinger. It's about a bunch of boys at a water polo camp and is a very upsetting body horror movie. This would be a tough one for you to watch as the mother of 2 young boys and being a little worried about where their lives are going
Okay.
and whether they'll be the bully or the bullier,
Yeah.
the bullied or the bully.
I mean, neither's a good option.
It's a fascinating movie. Everett Blunk gives an incredible performance as this kid Ben in the movie. Joel Edgerson's in the movie as the coach at the camp. And the sound design and the score of this movie is remarkable. I just wanted to put it out there for people. It's coming out on Christmas.
Okay.
Check it out. It's the sort of thing that would be on this list if it had like an August release date, but it's coming out later this year.
Got
Okay,
it.
so let's start. You want to go first?
Sure. My number 5 is a film that we briefly discussed.
Yeah.
And that is currently still in theaters, though if they're smart, they will get it out on some sort of VOD platform soon, because I do think at home, for people interested in a romantic comedy, that Eternity would pass the smell test. Now, you had some unkind things to say. Here's what I will say about Eternity.
Okay.
It is, I guess it's a high concept romantic comedy if you haven't seen Defending Your Life. And if you have seen Defending Your Life, it is just a sort of remake of Defending Your Life. It stars...
As well as A Matter of Life and Death.
Right.
It's like A Matter of Life and Death and Defending Your Life smashed together in one movie.
And it stars Elizabeth Olsen as a woman old woman who dies and finds herself in the afterlife. And the way the afterlife works is that you have to pick one eternity, like one really awesome place where you're spending the rest of your life. And her 2 husbands are both waiting there to spend the rest of her life, her eternity with her. And so she has to pick which husband she wants to spend eternity with. And her 2 husbands are played by Miles Teller, who plays the person she spent most of her life with, her second husband, who she spent 35 years with, and then Callum Turner, who was her husband who died in the war. And then it's specified the Korean War, and there are a bunch of jokes about that, which I thought were pretty funny.
Why are there no movies about the Korean War?
Yeah. I think this movie works better in the setup than in the final hour, as most high concept things do.
Yep.
I think this film has a profound understanding of Callum Turner's appeal.
I was going to say, it's not hard to know why you enjoyed the film.
But I was like, wow, they really get it. And I think that there are a lot of people who really get it. And it's funny. There are supporting performances by Dave Andrew Randolph and John Early, my favorite.
Yeah.
And, I have thought about different moments, and not just all of the Callum Turner being hot moments, though it's like really, really funny how this is just a movie about how Callum Turner's hot. Like, we're all really happy for Dua Lipa. But it whether it is like the Life Museum that she goes through, which, has like been recreated in movies over time, but it's another reference point, or a Dean Martin holiday song came on the other day, and I laughed at the Dean Martin. Miles Teller
That part is funny, the Dean Martin part.
Miles Teller is really good in this as the other guy.
He is. It's a very weird part for him to have taken on. He is definitely taking on the other guy part. He's the Albert Brooks to William Hurt in broadcast news.
Yeah.
And, Miles Teller is 6 feet tall, very handsome, and the star of Top Gun Maverick. Right. So for him to be playing like the schlubbier guy is kind of cool that he made that choice. I think he's the best part of the movie. Elizabeth Olsen's trying. I don't really think that character is very well written.
No.
I get what you like about it. I get what you like. I'm not going to piss in your cereal.
Joy Randolph, like in the afterlife, like convention, drinking a lot of wine. But like there are funny moments. It's like well observed. I do think that the understanding of the Callum Turner of it all, and everyone else is like making jokes about it.
Yeah.
It's like, and if you want to spend time with Miles Teller being charming also in a grumpy way, I liked it. I think it's a good at-home experience.
It's kind of like...
It doesn't land the plane. It doesn't land the plane. That's fine.
But it is kind of like if in Defending Your Life, Albert Brooks in Purgatory needed to choose between Meryl Streep and Heather Locklear. It's like...
Yes, but like that's fine. Let's have more movies like that. That's what I'm saying. I would like to honor the setup. Yeah. Because that's powerful.
I get you. I didn't love it, but I do think that similarly we do need these films.
Exactly.
And you're definitely right that at home this would do very well at Christmas.
Yeah.
You could see people cozying up around the fire watching this movie. Okay, that's a good pick. I like it. Your picks are very pop in a good way that will make for a good discussion. Yeah. I'm not sure if my picks are going to make for a very good discussion, but I do want to put them on people's radars. And I tried to pick a mix of stuff that was both available to stream and on VOD. Eternity is not on VOD yet, or it is?
No, it's still in theaters.
It's still in theaters. Okay.
It's at the Regal Paseo. You want to go after this?
I've already seen it at the Regal Paseo, so I'm good. My number 5 is Unbecoming a Guinea Fowl, which is Rangano Iñóni's second feature film, which came out via A24 earlier this year, but a very limited release. It was a 2024 festival film. She's a Zambian filmmaker. It's a very unusual movie about a woman who comes across the dead body of her uncle in the street at the very beginning of the movie and sets off this kind of like perplexing series of familial interactions and cultural curiosities around her journey. It stars actress Susan Shardy, who's amazing in this movie. There's like a very specific overt reference to Missy Elliott in the Super Duper Fly video at the very beginning of the film that kind of like grounds you in the oddity of the movie. Beautiful cinematography and colors and music in this movie. And it's just kind of transfixing. Like, I haven't really talked about very much African cinema here. It's the very rare African film to get distribution in the United States from a major studio. It's a real portal into this world, but also not alienating. It's very, very funny and very unusual and very disorienting at times. It's on HBO Max right now if people want to check it out. And I hope that Iñárritu gets to make more movies because she has some real flair. Okay, number 4.
Just veering way in the opposite directions. This is Oh Hi.
Yeah.
Which I believe you saw with your sister Grace when she was in town.
Yes.
So this was a Sundance film directed by Sophie Brooks and co-written by Brooks and Molly Gordon, who stars in it, along with Logan Lerman. And it's about a young couple who go on their first weekend away together and then learn some things about themselves and their relationship to each other and then try to rectify that. I'm team Molly Gordon, and
I think she's wonderful.
She's wonderful and really funny. And there's a scene in this film when she's asked to tell the Logan Lerman character about her childhood and is just running around like talking. And it's very funny and very funny.
Did you relate to this character?
Yeah, of course.
You did. Yeah. I think this movie's very bad. However, I do think I love Molly Gordon. I love watching Molly Gordon. I think
it's also, and then her friend is Geraldine Vislanian, who's also amazing.
She's also
so when
great.
they're on, it's great.
Yes.
I mean, I don't, if you're watching it as a movie about a relationship.
Is it self-recrimination, the movie? Is it Molly Gordon being like, sorry, I'm such a pain in the ass? Is it like, are we meant to be empathetic towards her? Is it?
Yeah,
We are, okay.
I think so. I think that she does
some very violent and uncomfortable things to this Logan Lerman character in the film.
Sometimes you deserve that, if you're
you?
dating around. Listen, they've been dating for 4 months.
Uh-huh.
And they've had a conversation
What have you done
about
to Zach?
not using protection.
What have you done to my friend Zach?
Having it's totally respectful, but it's just like every once in a while you gotta like call people and get them in line, especially where sexual health is involved.
Yeah, for sure.
So I thought this was funny. I mean, it like all things, like the setup and the first 30 minutes are very funny, and then things kind of peter out. But I was rooting for her, and
you got this, mama.
Don't
Molly Gordon edition.
Don't go on a weekend vacation with someone if you're not clear on the the parameters of your relationship.
Is this something that a fuckboy will do? Will he be like, let's go on a weekend vacation and be romantic together?
So it's, a crucial plot point in Bridget Jones' Diary, of course. But I do think at this age and at this budget level, it's uncommon. It is particularly delusional.
Okay.
Normally, they wouldn't commit to 48 hours
That's sort of what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
That seems it's strained credulity.
Right. But so I think the response then also perhaps strains credulity or is a proportionate response to the act involved.
I see. Fair point. Fair point. Maybe it does. Yeah. It undergirds the premise.
Yeah.
Number 4, speaking of your boyfriends, is Urchin. Urchin is available to rent on VOD right now. It is the directorial debut of Harris Dickinson, who is a very accomplished, tall, handsome actor who clearly wants to be Mike Lee. This new movie is about a guy named Mike who is sleeping on the streets of London and who's trying to get his life together, trying to get his substance abuse under control, trying to escape the very gnarly fate of his life. The movie is somewhat conventional in the way that it explores those aspects of his story. You see him kind of receding back into bad habits and getting a job and losing a job and getting into a relationship and then messing up that relationship. And some of that stuff feels very familiar. Some of it does feel like Mike Lee's Naked, the David Thewlis movie. The movie takes a really interesting kind of cosmic turn near the end that is really exciting. And I think augurs well for where Harris Dickinson's going as a director. Like I thought, halfway through the movie, I was like, this is a little bit more straightforward than I want it to be, despite the fact that Frank Delane, plays the Mike character, is phenomenal in this movie. He definitely could have been on our performances list. It really hyper committed. I really, really liked his work in the movie. But the final 10 minutes or so, when we start to feel him kind of like exiting the normal plane of existence, is hopefully a sign of things to come for Harris Dickinson. So people should check this out. It's a cool movie, imperfect but very interesting. How do you feel about Harris making this leap? Will he take himself off screen to make these films?
No, he's going to be in 4 Beatles films, so it's going to be okay.
Who's he playing again?
He's John Lennon.
Is that good casting?
We talked about, and then I believe Paul Mescal is Paul
McCartney. Yeah.
I can see it.
Is John Lennon attractive?
Well, I think that the glasses and the hair you can bring Harris to where Lennon was.
I see.
And there was a magnetism to him, you know?
Yeah.
So you can't deny that.
Who played Okay. All right.
Okay.
Number 3 for you.
The Wedding Banquet.
I haven't seen this.
Well, it's streaming on Paramount Plus,
okay.
I believe. Let's make sure that that's the right one. Wedding Banquet, Paramount Plus. Yes, it is. So this is a remake of the Ang Lee movie, The Wedding Banquet. It's directed by Andrew Ahn, who did Fire Island. And it's co-written with Ahn and James Schamus, who wrote The Wedding Banquet.
That's right, the original.
And so it's a similar setup, but it's by the U.S. now. And so it's a gay couple and a lesbian couple who are... The gay couple wants to get married, but one of the men is concerned he won't be accepted by his family and then also will be cut off. And then the women couple are the woman couple are trying to have a baby and they're doing IVF, but they're running out of money because it's quite expensive and it's not going well. So one of the men and one of the women decide to do and there's also some immigration status involved. So they decide to do like a fake marriage in order to get the money, pay for the IVF, and lock citizenship down. And then obviously like the plan gets like pretty messy. And that makes it sound like a lot more farcical than it is. What I liked about this movie was that it was pretty it plays everything softly and it has a great cast. It's Bowen Yang, but Lily Gladstone and Kelly Marie Tran and Yoon Yoo-jung, who you remember from Minari.
That's right. Academy Award winner.
So it's an outrageous plot, but everyone is soft pedaling it. Actors I like a lot. I thought this was like a pretty good soft touch portrayal of IVF, which it's not about it. It's just like a thing that happens and is hard for the people, which I appreciate. It's just like maybe a good lesson in general. We don't need to make things like about stuff.
Just a plot point.
You can portray a thing and how it affects people, and that communicates it.
I don't know if you noticed that while we're recording, it was announced that Bowen Yang is leaving
I
Saturday
saw that.
Night
It was
Live.
actually, it was
in the middle of the season after 8 seasons.
Yeah,
while being
I don't
definitely
know.
one of the most notable cast members. That's kind of odd.
Yeah, I mean, hasn't he sat out some performances or some hosts as well? I think it's
true.
It's been a fluctuating relationship.
It has.
as I understand it. Anyway, I'm a fan of him. He's pretty good in this. I would say that like the women are the performances to remember, but I liked it.
Okay. Great call.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me just came out.
Okay.
I should have interviewed the filmmaker. This movie is written, directed, produced, and edited by this person, Curtis David Harder. It's called Influencers. It's a sequel. There was a movie in 2023 called Influencer. It was a thriller on Shudder about a young influencer, a woman who is stalked and eventually meets a grisly end at the hands of a dangerous woman played by the actress Cassandra Nod, who is incredible in the original Influencer. Influencers continues the story. Another character from the film is trying to find the Cassandra Nod character, CW, and bring her to justice. The movie is kind of globe-trotting at this point. This one takes place in southern France. These are really stylish, really slick, smart movies about the internet and how the internet works. There's like an AI component to this one that is, I think, pretty clever. And this movie's been made pretty cheaply and really sharply. And it's like, it does eventually become a violent thriller, but there has like a little bit of like John le Carré, like spycraft going on in it.
Okay.
That is pretty nifty. And at this scale for like effectively a straight to Shudder movie, I thought it was really impressive. And I think Harder is a really good filmmaker. So I want to give it a little shout because I feel like it's maybe not getting enough attention.
This movie is pro AI?
No.
Like you?
No. But it's a really funny movie about like right-wing influencers versus left-wing influencers, lifestyle influencers versus people who are just trying to have fun but capturing their lives on social media. Like
that's me.
It's pretty.
I'm just having
many
fun.
people are saying you're just having fun, not trying to get free yogurt. You would never do that. You would
so
never
good.
attempt to acquire yogurt.
I'm really
on a
grateful.
podcast.
I'm still eating that yogurt. Thank you, Painterland Sisters.
Jack, is this okay?
Of course. It's all great.
Okay.
Jack got some yogurt.
That's great. Congrats on your yogurt, Jack. Happy for you, bro.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
What's number 2 for you?
Megadoc.
Yeah.
Which we've talked a little bit about, but I thought on this episode, especially after the James L. Brooks.
Streaming now on the Criterion Channel.
There you go. So this is Mike Figgis's portrait of the making of Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, which I saw at the Venice Film Festival. And has amazing access. And the further we get down the road of Francis Ford Coppola, but also of these beloved filmmakers hanging on, chasing their dreams to the very, very end, past 80. it's very specific to Coppola in a lot of ways, and what animates him and what makes him one of the great American filmmakers, and also what explains all of the completely inexplicable things that have happened in the back half of his career. Again, like incredible access. I'll just still think about the request from Natalie Emmanuel's agent that she not be filmed eating. Just really, really special stuff. But it is also a movie about someone who has been dreaming of something his whole life, and specifically about making a movie and waiting for the technology to catch up to this vision in your head. And can it? And can the vision in your head be realized? And how that actually happened or didn't happen in Coppola's case and in the case of Megalopolis is, I think, fascinating. Again, really helped me understand Megalopolis. But if you are listening to this podcast and you're interested in how films are made, it's really good.
Totally agree. I like this movie a lot. It's a great shout. The next film I'm going to recommend is another movie that we talked about on the show. I saw it out of Sundance. It's called The Things You Kill. It's now available to be rented on VOD. I thought there was a chance we would be talking about it a little bit more, and maybe you would have to see it because it was Canada's submission for International Feature at the Academy Awards. It was not selected.
Okay.
It's a film about a Turkish university professor teaching in the United States, and his mother dies, and she dies under suspicious circumstances, and it drives him kind of crazy. And as he's grieving, he hires this gardener to enact revenge on the people who he feels may or may not be responsible for his mother's death. This is a very chaotic, violent, scary, disorienting thriller. I think I probably used, somewhat regrettably, the word Lynchian to describe it back in January when I saw it at Sundance. But it does have those elements of what is really happening, what is the dream state, what is the mania of a person in the face of crisis. Really, really strong filmmaking from Ali Reza Khatami, the writer and director. Ekin Cox's performance as the star, as Ali, is really, really good. And this is like a bit of it's a gem. It's a really, really good small independent feature that had a festival premiere and seemed like maybe it was destined for bigger things. And then these movies just kind of come and go sometimes. So The Things You Kill is my number 2. Okay, number 1.
Joanna briefly mentioned this on our performances of the year. But it's Jane Austen Wrecked My Life, which is now streaming on Netflix. Have you seen this yet?
I have not seen it yet.
Well, I just absolutely loved this, and not just because Jane Austen is in the title. It is a romantic comedy. I guess an intellectual romantic comedy, but it's your pretty classic love triangle. There's a French woman who is stylish enough that I, was being like, I guess I need to get bangs now or a sweater. So you need that element. She's a writer, and then she goes to the Jane Austen Writers Residency, and she meets someone there, and then someone else from her life comes back, and then she's also so she's trying to decide between them, but she also has writer's block, and as much of it is about her trying to be an artist or a writer as it is about which of these knuckleheads is going to figure it out. I thought it was very funny, and it small is unfair, but self-contained in a great way and very charming. So if you're looking for something to stream, there you go.
Do you think Eileen would like it?
I don't know. Where is Eileen on Jane Austen?
Doesn't seem to care that much.
Well, then,
but I wouldn't say dislikes.
Then maybe she wouldn't like it. But I do think that there, in the way that Jane Austen is like the bones of so many of our romantic comedies. I think she appreciates many of the hallmarks.
She does.
There is they recreate a period style ball at some point, but not in the Sense and Sensibility. We've done a week's worth of night shoots to make this real. It's the people at the residency are doing it for shits and giggles.
Okay.
So there's some knowingness to it.
Okay. It's convenient that it's streaming on Netflix.
Yeah.
My number 1 is available to rent right now for 99 cents on Amazon Prime.
Okay. Wow.
It's called Volcanizadora, which means tire repair shop.
Okay.
I think in Spanish. I don't fact check me on that one.
Okay.
This is a very strange movie. It is the latest movie from a guy named Joel Petrakis, who is a vigorously independent filmmaker who makes unusual, intimate indie movies shot on film. It's about two guys who go into the forest to follow through on a very fucked up pact that they make with each other.
Okay.
One of the guys is set for a potential prison sentence. The other guy is in a state of crisis in his life. But the movie is just like kind of a hang. Just these two dumb guys talking at each other for
Okay.
the first hour before the events of the movie get a little bit more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting movie about male friendship.
We had several of those this year.
Yeah. It gets very gnarly near the end. There's some intense stuff that happens in the back half. It's also very funny. And there's nobody making movies quite like Joel Petrakis. And your mileage will definitely vary on whether or not you enjoy the movie. But if you can get your head around what it is he's trying to accomplish, I think it's very singular, very beautiful. Guys,
You're going through it.
men are going through it in 2025.
Yeah.
Dads, this is a dad movie as well. Dads are going through it. Dads are having a
Okay.
hard time because they want to be good fathers.
Right.
They want to be successful men. They
Right.
want to not go to prison.
Right. They are trying to figure out how to have it all.
Yes.
It's hard.
So whether you're in
And James Elbert
Volcano
says you cannot.
yes, you'll be Woody Harrelson and you will not be forgiven by your daughter. That is where we land.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's our list. How are you feeling? 2 more episodes to go this year.
2 more episodes to record. How
Yes.
many episodes left for people to listen to?
16 more. So this will be the first 30 episode month.
No, I'm kind
for
of
the
okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more episodes in this calendar year.
Yeah.
And then another one. So 5 before we come back from the break.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's the perfect amount?
I mean, I hope people listen. We're working pretty hard.
We are working very hard. So thanks to Jack Sanders, our producer, for his work on this episode. The next episode is about Marty Supreme, which is a really, really good movie.
It's really, really good.
We'll
Please go see it.
Yes, we'll be talking about it in depth, and we'll see you then.